Pelle got the matchup on Charles Bassey. That bum is slow. Oh, never mind. Stevenson. Bang! Not Pelle, not Ware, not Keshad, but Eric Stevenson, baby.
Well, all right, baby. That's more like it. That is Miami Heat basketball as the Heat take down the Celtics by a final score of 100-96. I don't care if it's just Summer League because I hate the Boston Celtics. I never want to lose to them. Just like Udonis Haslem said a couple months ago. What did he say? He said, I never want to lose to the Celtics, and I'm glad Bill Russell is dead. Something insanely out of pocket like that. His words, not mine. He's since apologized and then also like recanted that apology. I don't know. UD is allowed to say whatever he wants, although that was a wild thing to say. But I do agree with his overall sentiment of hate for the Boston Celtics. So I don't care who lines up for them. I want to beat them. Especially on a night like tonight where we get a new op added to the list. And Jordan Walsh, what the hell are you trying to do, pick on people? Now listen, I get it. I'd be mad too if I was bald at 21 years old. All right, now, yes, I know he has alopecia. It's a joke, okay? Sorry, there's nothing funny about alopecia. I tweeted that out on Twitter, and I actually did really well. People thought that joke was funny. But I had like a couple people mad. This one guy told me that I need to shut up because my eyes extend to the length of my eyebrows. Like, what? Like, I've been doing YouTube for a long time now, and I've heard almost every insult in the book. But that one, like, he said, what, my eyes go to my eyebrows? Do they? I don't know. Why couldn't he just say something about my patchy mustache like everyone else? Anyways, Jordan Walsh was out there starting fights. Pelle Larsson was out there ending them in what was just an overall very exciting game. The Heat got up pretty big. Boston worked their way all the way back. And then it came down to the end where Eric Stevenson, of all people, hit the dagger. So we got a lot more to talk about. We'll go into detail about everything, go through the box score at the end. So I want to first start with the starting lineups where you might have noticed there was someone missing. On a night where the Miami Heat have their most productive offensive game of Summer League, you had no Kasparas Giaconis. I'm not saying correlation equals causation. I'm just simply pointing out that you had no Kasparas at point guard. You scored 100 points in a Summer League game in which the quarters are only 10 minutes. So that's very impressive. The offense definitely looked a lot better. I'm not blaming Kasparas. I'm not. It's just a little interesting to think about. And it's not even like the Heat offense was great throughout because they still had a ton of turnovers today. Earlier, Boston had way more shots than Miami. Did they finish that way? They took 81 shots to Miami's 66. Wow. That's insane. And a lot of that is because the Heat had 19 turnovers. But fortunately, they only gave up 9 offensive rebounds today. They didn't give up 20 plus like the last couple of games. But they still got to do a better job controlling the turnovers. And that's something Kasparas has to work on as well. But he wasn't there today to blame. So definitely a team thing today. But you had no Kasparas. You got the start from Eric Stevenson. This was obviously going to be a big game for Pelle Larsson. We know it's going to be his last one before he goes off to EuroLeague. Really happy for him and excited for that as a Heat fan. You also have Fontecchio is going to play for Italy. Nikola Jovic is going to play for Serbia. And actually, Kasparas is not playing for Lithuania. He did say that. But we still have a few other guys, so Heat fans should definitely be tuned in when Eurobasket kicks off, I think the last week of August. So that'll be something fun to look forward to if the Heat do have an early exit in Summer League, which it was looking like they might, but now they're 1-2. They got one game left. Let me look up who they play real quick. I think the next game is going to be on Thursday, and they play the Pistons. A 4 o'clock game on Thursday? Why they got to play when I'm at work? I don't know. I'll figure something out. But yeah, they got one game left. I don't know how the seeding works for Summer League playoffs. I think everybody still gets one more game, actually, TBD. If that's the case, the Heat will have a chance to finish with a winning record. But they got their first win tonight in Pelle's last game. So going forward, it'll be nice to see Kasparas get some more on-ball reps because obviously Pelle's kind of dominated the ball a lot. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what he could do going forward. The Celtics, though, they actually have a few interesting players that I was kind of looking forward to seeing tonight. Of course, their first-round pick, Hugo Gonzalez from Real Madrid. He's a guy that we discussed. We did a deep dive on him prior to the draft. Someone that I thought maybe the Heat could have taken. Still a very raw prospect. He's had an up-and-down Summer League so far. Down was today. We had 10 points today, but he shot 3 of 12 1 of 7 from 3, 6 turnovers. Yeah, so he wasn't great today, but he's still a raw prospect, and I actually think he's going to be good for Boston in the long term. I hate to admit it. I think they got a good one there. But they also got our guy, Zale Wong from University of Miami. Shout out to him. We saw Norchad O'Meara yesterday, and it's nice to see a bunch of Hurricanes from that Final Four team playing pretty well. You also got Jordan Miller, who's really great last year, having another good summer league, and Wooga Poplar too. So as a Canes fan, it's nice to see those guys get going. And then, of course, the Celtics did also have my guy, Kenny Lofton Jr. The 6'7" guy is listed at 275. He's definitely pushing 300, though. He's basically like a shorter Dane Danger, in terms of his frame. And y'all know I love that type of build. More specifically, I like a guy with footwork, and that's what Kenny Lofton is. Y'all know he scored 42 points in his first ever NBA start with the Grizzlies a couple years ago. That kid is skilled. Now, he's kind of slow as a rock. He was getting beat off the dribble by Kira Lewis every single possession, and Kel'el Ware was spraying him from downtown because Lofton can't guard the perimeter. But offensively, that boy can move those puppies in the post. That's my type of player. So shout out to Kenny Lofton too. It was also cool to see that Norman Powell was there. We saw him working out with Spo earlier. Then he was there to support the boys. He was very happy to be there. They posted a picture of him smiling with Spoelstra. I quote tweeted that and said, "Is there one photo of Andrew Wiggins smiling in a Heat jersey?" And I was being a little bit facetious there. Is that a word? I don't know. Sounded like the right thing to say, but y'all know what I was doing. Like, yes, I'm sure there's photos of Wiggins smiling. It's just like, it always seemed like he wasn't happy to be here. But I don't know. He had a lot of personal things going on, and he's just not a guy who with the super, outgoing demeanor, I suppose. But that was just a little jokey joke. But Norman Powell was there, and really cool to see him support these young Summer League guys. So going into the first quarter, had an aggressive Pelle Larsson, nothing new there. We did see a Kel'el Ware and Vlad Golden line up a few times tonight. That was pretty cool to see. Immediately, the announcer's like, if the Heat are going to play these two big man lineups in the NBA with Bam and Ware, Ware's got to learn to shoot threes. And I'm like, I don't know if I'd say that. I mean, Bam Adebayo looks like he's really going to be the one coming into the season spacing the floor. I think he finished last season, like the second half of the year, taking 3 threes a game at like close to 40%. So I do look for Bam to continue his 3-point shooting. I'm not saying he should take 5 or 6 a game, but I hope he takes at least 3 a game. I think he's going to be more so the big that stretches the floor. Although Kel'el Ware is definitely showing the ability this summer league. His form looks so much more fluid. We did a little bit of a breakdown yesterday. Please go check that out. I feel like that's a really great video. We broke down some of the good and some of the bad from Kel'el Ware's summer league last game, and we kind of highlighted his lack of effort on offensive rebounds, but also his improved effort on the offensive end. And a lot of the stuff we discussed in that video also applies to his game today. So I highly recommend that you check out that film analysis. But yeah, the announcer said, Ware might need to shoot threes more, and I think it'll be Bam, but I mean, maybe it is Ware, because so far through Summer League, he's shooting great. He's not hesitating, and he hit 3 threes today. Actually, one of them was immediately after the announcer said Ware is going to continue having to stretch the floor, so that was a pretty funny thing to say. And those are one of the threes that Ware took on Kenny Lofton. So he saw that matchup and said, all right, let me go ahead and take this big boy to the perimeter. And then it was the very next possession where Ware took it right to the paint. He hustled for a few rebounds. He was able to save the possession. So just showed some good hustle on that play. I also saw a dive on the floor from Vlad Golden. So both of Heat's big men was showing some pretty good effort. And I kind of like that lineup. I guess that's why Eric Glass went back to it a few times throughout the game. And then actually the end of the first quarter was tough. Javonte Cook hit a very difficult 3 in the corner. It was his 3rd triple of the game, and that put the Heat up 9 at the end of 1. So Javonte Cook has been shooting pretty well. I think he might be another guy that might kind of put up some good stats once Pelle goes out. And if he does, I might do a little bit of a breakdown on him as well, because I think he's a guy that the Heat might really focus on in Sioux Falls, maybe try to develop something out of him. He's a very skilled scorer. We're going into the second quarter. Keshad Johnson, another great transition dunk. He had a great game today, statistical wise, but a lot of his stuff was still in transition. He hit a couple threes today. We'll get into that. But he played well today, so it was nice to see him bounce back. It was also funny at that point, the announcer said, look how Keshad Johnson finishes at the rim in a different way than Pelle Larsson does. And he tried doing this little breakdown. And I'm like, one of those guys could probably dunk on a 13-foot rim. The other one, was a 6'5" white guy. Let's not compare the two, okay? But it was just funny. Keshad played well today, though. There was an interesting possession where we did see Kenny Lofton use that body, got a nice layup to go on Kel'el Ware, but then Ware came right back down and hit another three on him. So it was just nice to see Ware really not back down from that difficult physical matchup. And then that's where we got that little scuffle. Stevenson pushed Jordan Walsh when Walsh was trying to take a layup. I thought it was a dumb foul by Stevenson. It was one of those things that Duncan Robinson used to do where he'll like brush up against the guy or push him lightly on a fast break to foul him. If you're going to foul a guy on a fast break, foul him. Don't brush him lightly and get the and one. But that's what Stevenson did. For some reason, Jordan Walsh is soft, so he took offense to that. And then that's where, and then I liked Vlad Golden actually came in at that point. He kind of put his arm around Stevenson to settle him down. Then he rallied the whole team together. So I thought that was great leadership from Vlad Golden. And as a two-way guy, a guy who's a bit younger, well, I know he's 24 years old, but in terms of NBA experience, he's a new guy, doesn't have any NBA experience. I did like to see that he was actually the guy to rally the team together. And I also heard some other audio from him. He was mic'd up in practice. Just seems like a really great, outgoing, lovable guy. And I think that's part of the reason he might retain his two-way. He's a good locker room guy and he hustles hard. A lot of times that's, the most you can ask for out of a two-way player. And I do think that stuff leads to some positive stuff on the court as well, like when he kind of rallied the team together after that first incident with Jordan Walsh. But then it was the very next possession where Pelle Larsson is like, all right, Jordan Walsh, I don't like the fact that you tried bullying my boy Stevenson. I'm going to keep taking it to you. And Pelle Larsson was just too big and too fast and too strong that Jordan Walsh had to foul him when Pelle was bringing it up the court. And then Jordan Walsh, for some reason, takes two hands and shoves Pelle Larsson out the way. Just a completely unreasonable thing to do. Pelle did nothing except be stronger than Jordan Walsh. If being stronger than Jordan Walsh is a crime, then arrest Pelle Larsson, okay? But last I checked, it's not a crime. Although they're in Vegas, and I do know the rules are way different there in terms of everything. But anyways, Pelle, of course, didn't back down, ran up to Jordan Walsh, and, basically didn't back down. But then I did like that Kel'el Ware was actually the first one to run in and stand up for Pelle Larsson. So I thought that was great teamwork by Kel'el Ware as well. Walsh was ejected because he got a tech on the Stevenson thing, and then a tech on this Pelle incident as well. They called it a double tech. Why are you teeing up Pelle Larsson? All he's doing is standing up for himself. Whatever. They call double techs all the time. I think it's the most softest thing in sports. But anyways, a couple plays later, Erik Stevenson, he must have been feeling himself still because he took a charge on Kenny Lofton. Moment of silence for my boy Erik Stevenson. Taking a charge on 300-pound Kenny Lofton, that's toughness right there. That's heat culture. So I had to shout out him for that. But then actually to end the quarter, Boston didn't score for 4 straight minutes after the Walsh injection until Kel'el Ware fouled Hugo Gonzalez on a rebound with 2 seconds left. Another example of Ware not having the best box out technique. He needs to work on putting his ass on the guy, again, for lack of a better term, not taking 2 hands and shoving him. They're going to call that foul every time. So then the Celtics will go to the line and finally hit a free throw, I think, or 2 free throws to score with 2 seconds left. But then funny enough, Hugo Gonzalez then fouled Kira Lewis on a half-court attempt, about 50 feet actually away from the rim, because Vlad Golden set an excellent screen. Hugo kind of flailed off of it, ran into Kira. So Kira went to the line again in the last 2 seconds of the quarter, although he shot from like 50 feet away. So that was a good way to end the quarter. The Heat were up 13. And then the third quarter started with, or that was the end of the halftime. Halftime, the Heat were up 13. And then in the third quarter, started with a great Kel'el Ware pass, a lead pass to Pelle Larsson. He saw the defender not looking, so he led Pelle right to the rim. Pelle ended up getting fouled. And again, we talked about this last post game. Kel'el Ware has some really underrated vision that I think helps set him apart. And the thing that I liked about that play is he wasn't looking at Pelle Larsson when he threw the pass. He's looking at Pelle's defender. And I think that's what a lot of the great passers need to do because, the defender can't break up the pass if they're not looking. So that's something that's, I think is a really underrated skill, and Kel'el Ware did it that time. But then there was one of his couple of bad plays, Kel'el Ware. There was a loose ball. He's so tall, so he tries bending over, reaching down for it. Of course, he couldn't get it. You're supposed to dive on the floor for that ball. But because he didn't, the consequences was Boston ending up with the ball. It ended up in a 3-pointer for them, and that was their 3rd straight triple in the first 2 minutes of the second half. So they started to come back a little bit. But then I did like Kel'el Ware. He shot a tough fadeaway mid-range, which again, I'm fine with sprinkling a couple of those in, especially in Summer League when I wanted him to continue working on his game. But the part about it that I like is even though that he missed that attempt, he sprinted back in transition on defense and was actually able to boom, spiked the ball of a 3-point shooter in the top left wing, said, get that out of there. And that was great defensive effort by Ware after the missed shot. But then at the end of the third quarter, things were all tied up. And then in the fourth quarter, back and forth, Celtics hit a 3. Kel'el Ware hit another 3 to match. Pelle Larsson, huge and one off a transition pass from Keshad Johnson. And then that's where you saw the Eric Stevenson dagger. So we'll run through the box score real quick because I've been talking for way too long about a Summer League game. But for the Heat, Pelle Larsson, 24 points, 6 assists. This time, 10 free throw attempts. Every single game. Last year, a lot of people were saying that Jaime Jaquez was looking to be the Jimmy replacement because they do a lot of similar things in terms of footwork. Jimmy had great footwork as well. But I think Pelle Larsson's got a lot more in common. He's a better defender than Jaime Jaquez. Nowhere near as good a defender as Jimmy, but maybe he can continue improving that. But Pelle is also a better playmaker. Jimmy was a good playmaker. And obviously Jimmy's innate ability to get to the free throw line. Pelle Larsson does it in a very similar fashion. Not like James Harden with all this little trickery. No, Pelle Larsson going into the paint, putting his shoulder into you and earning those free throws in the same exact way that Jimmy Butler does. Of course, Jimmy was much more skilled offensively in terms of the mid-range shot. But as a sophomore, Pelle Larsson is starting to develop a lot of similar things, and that makes me happy. Keshad Johnson, huge bounce back for him. 22 points on 8 for 10 shooting. Last video, we talked about how his offense has been kind of limited to transition. He's really going to earn his minutes by being a guy who could spot up in the corner as a spacer. And tonight he did do that. Last game, he was 0 of 5 from 3, but today he was 2 of 4. So nice to see him bounce back from a shooting perspective. And then Kel'el Ware, 21 points, 15 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and a block, 8 of 15 overall, 3 of 3 from 3, one turnover, monster performance. Last video we said keep stacking on these good days, and that's exactly what Kel'el Ware did today. But yeah, in this last game, I guess he scored like 17 in the first half and only like 4 in the second. Today was much better. He was much more consistent throughout. And then obviously you see the 15 rebounds this time. So although there was a couple lapses, his overall energy was much better. So 2 good games in a row for Ware. Keep stacking them on. And then anyone else of significance here? Nah, I don't really want to talk a ton about everyone else because we've been going for 17 minutes. But yeah, another fun game. I think we said the Heat play the Pistons in a couple of days, and then they might have one more after that. So looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing what Kasparis could do bouncing back from his rough performance. Either way, I will be doing post games on this channel, so make sure y'all subscribe so you don't miss it. Leave your thoughts down below on this game because I'm very curious to hear what y'all think, and then like the video and subscribe because all your support is greatly appreciated, and I will see y'all in the next one. Peace out, everyone.
Look, pull up in your city tryna get that dead face. Do it on my own, I don't need no dead weight. Had to kill him off, yeah, I need a head space. You know this homegrown bitch don't offend me.